Inside Northeast Racing, sponsored by Northeast Racing Videos, Utica Rome Speedway, New York State Stock Car Association, RCT Roofing, Jack's Used Race Car Parts, and more, Northeast Racing Videos, Bobco Video, and Ray Ohms Towing and Recovery. Well, welcome to this week's edition of Inside Northeast Racing, where we'll take a little trip down to the Valley of Speed. Our camera's making an appearance down to Lebanon Valley Speedway this past Saturday night, taking in some of the sights, and here a good look at the jammed pit area as we take a little stroll down pit road before the night gets going. Everything's all nice and shiny, prepared and ready to go. Good look at the 77J, the J.C. Flack tribute car, piloted by his brother Keith Flack. Taking a little stroll down through the pit area, one of our pure stock events, ready to step up onto the Speedway. It was a great night of racing. The heat was turned up, and all the kids had fun, young or small. We treat them all. Some great side-by-side racing. Here in the big block modifieds, some of the pro stock automobiles showing up good. The small block modifieds were on hand. A big night down at the Valley of Speed, and it was NISA night, the New York State Stock Car Association Safety Contingency Night down at Lebanon Valley. We'll start off the racing action this week from the Accord Speedway in the Spec Sportsman division, where here you see the green flag flying in the Accord Spec Sportsman. Here in the early going, there's Tyler Boniface, a little bit out of shape as we re-rack and restack, bring him back to green here. Boniface up on the outside of that front row. One of the early powers in this one. Here Boniface leads the way off of turn number 2 as they make their way down the front stretch. Keep an eye on the number 7 car, a Michael Sabia. Sabia, one of the strong runners in this division. The M22 of Mike DuBois. Also letting his presence be known here in a three-way battle. There's Joe Judge just ahead of him with the 3J car. Tyler Boniface, very strong here in the early going on Friday night. You saw Judge crawling back up into the battle there, as well as the M22 of DuBois. But then the presence would be felt from the number 7 of Michael Sabia. Sabia takes the long way around here, around the 69 car of Tyler Boniface. Boniface going to come right back to him, as the action always is down at the Accord Speedway tight. But seeing the checkers first, it was Michael Sabia over Tyler Boniface. Mike DuBois was 3rd, Joe Judge 4th, and Mike Traver rounded out the top 5. We stayed down at the Accord Speedway. Accord Speedway, the Ulster County Bull Ring. Friday night action, we go with the Pro Stock division down at Accord here. Green flag is out, underway in the early go of the feature as they make their way down here off of turn number 2, the 54 of Ralph Ronk, letting his presence be known at the front. Ronk now going to find the 18 of Tom Vasta to come up and join him at the front. Also see Johnny Rose, number 28 car back there as they work their way around here through turns 1 and 2. Good side-by-side action as we are accustomed to that down at the Accord Speedway. Here Vasta will take the number 1 position away from Ronk around the outside. Vasta takes the lead. Great side-by-side racing, door-to-door action, wheel-to-wheel as they go down here through the corner. Side-by-side they run up off of turn number 2, is back in the pack. Up front now, Ronk has gone back to the point. Here's Rose coming to his back bumper as they come down off of turn number 4. Checkered flag is out. Ralph Ronk will get the win. Johnny Rose will finish 2nd. Tom Vasta will finish 3rd. Jim Sykes was 4th. And Paul Aragon rounds out your top 5. That's the pro stock action from Accord Speedway. Of course, the headline division, down at Accord, the Modifieds. Brand new campaigner down at Accord. Danny Johnson, you see him there in the Chris Schultz-owned 27J car. Carrying sponsorship from Bulldog Concrete, the Rich Colasanti-owned operation there. Here's some great side-by-side racing. 3 wide down here into the corner. Andy Bacchetti, the defending track champion. Down into the corner here is Andy up on the outside now, using the outside line up off of turn number 4. Here in the early going, Mel Schrufer was the man to beat up on the front. There's Tommy Meyer in the 33 and a third. As they come down here into turn number 3, Danny Johnson trying to work the magic up on the outside of him and using Andy Bacchetti's line. You see him right there behind Andy as they come down to the corner. Jackie Brown Jr. in the 6X going to work with Jerry Higbee. Higbee in the New York Truck Parts number 55 car, the Gary Mann-owned entry, working the outside of Jackie Brown. Brown in the Jack's Used Race Car Parts and More, sponsored number 6X car. Now going to draw in on what was your early leader, the 84 of Mel Schrufer. Schrufer on the outside, Brown on the inside. Hang on, Mel. Oops. Well, ran out of racing room there, and Mel Schrufer caught up in a little bit of a jingle after a yellow flag coming out. Mel getting a piece of the action. We go back to green flag action. Jackie Brown up on the front. Here's Andy Bacchetti and Jerry Higbee going at it once again. This time it'll be for the runner-up position as they make their way down here. Danny Creedon right there in the mix with the 11 car as they work their way off of turn number 2 now down the back stretch. Here's a swing up to the outside by Jerry Higbee, but Jackie Brown holding off the advances of Higbee in that 55 car. Jackie Brown Jr. with the 6X, the first one to see checkers. Brown hangs on for the win. Jerry Higbee comes home second. Andy Bacchetti was third. Danny Johnson fourth. And Danny Creedon would round out your top 5 in the Modifieds at Accord on Friday night.
Feels good. There's a lot of guys here worried about points. I'm just going to win races. That's all I'm here for. Yeah. Week I'm bringing everything I got. I'm going to win every race I can just to show them that's all I want to do. They can worry about points. I want wins. They count.
And we thank Jack's Used Race Car Parts and More, and of course our friends from Dirt Track Digest for all of their support here at Inside Northeast Racing. Well, Inside Northeast Racing taking a trip up on the hill. We go to the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park now. Glen Ridge Motorsports Park on Friday night. Green flag out. That is the Silver Bullet in that yellow number 5 car. The resurrection of Bob Savoy as he is back at it here behind the wheel of a race car up at Glen Ridge on Friday night. Right up on the front of the field as well. We got our eyes on Elmo Reckner right now, but hang on, Elmo, over in turn number 4. Got out from under him after some contact there between the corners. Elmo going around. He will go back to the tail of the field. Green flag is out. We're back underway. Up on the front now, the 20 of Craig Hansen and the 85 of Bobby Varon. 2 drivers that have seen victory lane here in 2013. Both looking for another win. There's Rocky Warner, the most recent winner up at the Ridge. Here's Rocky Warner with the modified number 79 in his rookie campaign at Glen Ridge. Former champion, the 20 of Craig Hansen, second-generation driver. Going to bring him down here off of turn number 4. He's the first under the checkers to be a repeat winner. Hansen gets the win over Bobby Varon. Richie Price was third. Jeff Rockefeller fourth. And Rocky Warner rounded out the top 5 at Glen Ridge on Friday night. Now we take our racing to the Fonda Speedway, heading down to the Fonda Speedway for the Pro Stock action. Pro Stock's underway. There's some side-by-side action. Up on the outside, Chucky Dumbluski with the number 7 car, using the outside lane there to advance his position up towards the front as they make their way down off of turn number 4. 4 cars right together on the front. As Luke Horning will show the way. Chucky McSpirit right there with him, racing side by side as they work their way off of turn number 2 here. Here is Pete Broderson on the charge, the 7N of Gem Normoil, right in the battle as they make their way down into turn number 3 now. You've got a new leader as they step off of turn number 4, and that'll be Pete Broderson. But hang on, Cousin Luke. Around he goes, gathers up a couple more cars. Here's an instant replay, slow motion action. Some contact here down in the corner. Sends Cousin Luke around. Luke Horning backs it up to the outside retaining wall. Also catches up another car there. Looks like Johnny Bratt's car also involved in that incident. Going back to green, here we go. Back down the front stretch on the inside. It's Pete Broderson as they race down into turn number 1. Broderson in command as they work their way up through the corner and now down the back stretch. Pete Broderson trying to stretch it out. Here's a look back through the pack. Kenny Martin Jr. with the number 93 car as they come down through the corner. Keep an eye on the hood on Nick Stone's car. It's not coming off, it's coming apart. And the high speeds here turned at the Fonda half mile, started to take its toll on the hood, and eventually would kind of make mincemeat out of that hood. Here's Pete Broderson up on the front, now putting some distance between himself and Crazy Kenny. Kenny Martin trying to close in, trying to pick up a 2-win weekend, but he would fall short by 1. The winner was Pete Broderson. Kenny Martin would come across the line second. Kenny Gates would finish third. Ivan Jocelyn was fourth. And Jim Normoyle fifth across the line. And after some confusion and overturning a post-race DQ, Fonda management reinstating Jim Normoyle into the 5th running position in Pro Stock action at Fonda. Well, now we'll go racing in the headline division at the Track of Champions. We go modified racing at the Fonda Speedway. Dave Lape down here into turn number 1. Dave Lape and Josh Flint brought the field down under green. Speaking of green, that's Darwin Green back there in 3rd spot. 3 red cars up on the front. Lape, Flint, and Green in that order as they make their way down here off of turn number 4. The 50-year veteran, Dave Lape. I did say 50 years. That's 50 years of competition, not 50 years old. As he works up on the front, here's Elmo Reckner and Jeff Rockefeller making their way down into turn number 3. Reckner now sliding up to the outside, taking a look at the outside line, keeping the momentum up, and trying to draw in on a couple of those red cars right ahead of him. One of the yellow automobiles in the field there, you see working up on the outside. That is Jeremy Wilder, as Wilder here trying to close ground on that lead group as well. And now to the front, it will be Darwin Green. For a moment anyway, as Matty D starts to flex his muscles, Matt DiLorenzo, the BBL company, Recovery Sports Grill sponsored entry. Here is DiLorenzo down to the inside of Darwin Green. He'll get the nose out in front. He will complete the pass off of turn number 4. And Matt DiLorenzo has now gone to the front. Enter the fray. Here comes Stuart Friesen. Friesen on the charge. There's Jimmy Davis and Elmo Reckner coming together off the corner with the 24 up on the outside, Jeremy Wilder. So 3 different grooves being used right there through the corner. Keep an eye here as they come down off of turn number 4. The 3D of DiLorenzo on the inside, trying to go to the inside of a slower car, gets peened into the infield, takes an inside line, and look out, George Smith. He'll run like the outlaw he is, and now he is cleared just by that much. Missed me by that much, George said. Matty D never took his foot off the gas. He is back on the charge as they work their way down through the corner. While all this was happening, Stuart Friesen took the number 1 car to the number 1 spot, and Stuart Friesen, once in the front, he's tough to beat. First to the checkers they go. Stuart Friesen gets the win. Matt DiLorenzo would come home second. Jeremy Wilder would finish third. Jimmy Davis was fourth. And Darwin Green rounded out your top 5. That's in the modifieds at Fonda on Saturday night. Well, it's time for our NISA weekly winners, the New York State Stock Car Association weekly winners, as we have every week here on Inside Northeast Racing. Like to make a mention, NISA Safety Nights coming up June 14th at Glen Ridge and June 15th at the Fonda Speedway, the next 2 safety nights for the New York State Stock Car Association. And our weekly winners from this week, starting off at Accord, it was Ralph Ronk, Jackie Brown Jr., Michael Sabia, Davey Werber, Sean Maloney, Kevin Skelly. Our CRSA winners at Penn Can, Joe Cotta. Orange County, Brittany Tresh. Weekly winners at Orange County, Bobby Varon, Mikey Kolka, Brian Crummel, Travis Jablanca, Kurt Hunderlin. Albany, Saratoga, it was Justin Smith, Brett Hearn, Kenny Martin Jr., Jeremy Pitts, Jay Resch, Matt Papa, and Dan Older Jr. At Lebanon Valley, it was Gary O'Brien, Ed Hatch, Steve Mayer, Larry Perez, Jason Casey, Andy Bacchetti, and Alan Hotailing. At Glen Ridge, it was Aaron Burton, Jason Samrow, Shane Playford, Ray Zemkin, Craig Hansen. At Fonda, it was Rob Van Arnhem, Kerry Hollenbeck, Kenny Hollenbeck, Pete Broderson, Stuart Friesen, and Ricky Quick. We thank the New York State Stock Car Association for their support, and we congratulate the NISA weekly winners for this pack week of competition. Well, we'll take you back for a trip to the Valley of Speed for some rocket on the high banks as we take a little trip around the high banks of Lebanon Valley Speedway. A trip down there this past Saturday night for some racing action. Staying with the action down at the Valley, this past Saturday night, we start off in the Pro Stock division. Pro Stock feature event under green as they make their way down the backstretch here. Got some good close competition up towards the front here. Nick Hilt Jr. and Chuck Towsley leading the field around. Paul La Rochelle and Danny Sanchez, two past co-champions, going at it here for position. They fan out three wide. Little contact there with the Wild Twing, Frank Twing, as they work their way down here to turn number one. Keep an eye on La Rochelle and Sanchez as they are fighting tooth and nail for the same piece of real estate. They come off at turn number two. Jason Casey down to the inside. Up over the right front wheel goes Sanchez, sends the 78 of La Rochelle into a spin, gathers up three-time winner Jay Corbin. Here you see it in slow motion. Danny Sanchez's car bounds down the backstretch, and he was able to continue on. Heavy damage to the Corbin Cat's Eye Pest Control number 8 car. Here is the 243 of Victor Hopkins turned around as well. Hopkins has a 30-plus race top 10 streak going on here. Here's the 04 of Tommy Harkins. Harkins, your early leader. Tom Harkins in that 04, leading the way down into turn number 3. Chuck Towsley and Nick Hilt Jr. dueling and dicing there for second spot as they are side by side down here on the front stretch. Right now, it is the 17, the NNL Auto Body Special of Hilt. Was hanging on to that position. Now here comes Jason Casey. There's Jay Casey, his dad, back there in the pack. Robbie Speeds 24, Victor Hopkins 243, side by side with the Wild Twing rapidly approaching there. Good four-car battle in a group. As they come up through the corner, the Mellonville Missile working up on the high side of the Wild Twing as they come down here. But up front, it was the younger of the Caseys, the son of the father-son race team out of Canaan, Connecticut. Jason Casey on rails here off of turn number 4. When the checker flag flew, it was Jason Casey picking up the win. Jason Casey got the victory. Chuck Towsley would come home in second spot. Danny Sanchez would finish third, Victor Hopkins fourth, and the Wild Twing, Frank Twing, would round out your top 5. That was in the Pro Stocks down at Lebanon Valley this past Saturday night. Here we'll take a spin at a wheel, the big wheel that offers up $1,000 if a winner can come from the row that it lands on. It would happen to land on row number 2, where it was the 17 of Robbie Pitcher and the 45 of Wayne Jelly, eligible for a $1,000 bonus. Green flag flies were underway here in the modified main event this past Saturday night down at Lebanon. Denny Soltis, the Connecticut Yankee, up on the outside of Paul Gilardi. As they make their way down into turn number 3, Gilardi leads him into the west end, a little out of shape. Soltis gets into the corner of him, and, well, you see the end result. They stacked them up down in turn number 4 in the early going. Now we get them re-racked and restacked. The green flag is back out, and we are underway as they make their way down here into turn number 1, side by side, back through the pack. Up on the front, it's Robbie Pitcher. Here is Brian Berger making a charge. Berger would go up into the second running position. Donnie Corellis back there in third with Denny Soltis in fourth. The top 2 rows as they all, well, there's a little contact under yellow. Mark Flack Jr., the Flack attack coming together with the defending champion Brett Hearn. The green flag is out, and we are underway as they make their way down into turn number 1. So back to green flag racing action here as they come off the corner. You see Hearn come off the corner. Flack still right there behind him. But don't forget that contact that was back there on the yellow. A right rear tire going down on the Madsen overhead doors, Madsen Motorsports number 20 of Brett Hearn. He would have to make a trip to the pits. And we've seen him do it before, but he would be relegated to the tail when we went back to green. Robbie Pitcher up on the front. Don't forget, he's gunning for a $1,000 bonus. But who's coming at him now? It is the wild child, Andy Bicchetti. He dives down to the inside here, trying to pull off the pass. Didn't work there, but you know Andy Bicchetti is going to try that inside line. He'll try every line he can around the track. He takes the inside line, slides up in front of Pitcher, and he is your new leader. Here's J.R. Hefner going to work on the number 60 of Brian Berger as they work their way down the backstretch. Kenny Tremont Jr. back in the pack. Here is the 20 of Hearn starting to make his way up through. Seeing double? No, not at Lebanon. That's only 2 of the 34s. The 34 of Kim Lavoie racing there as they come down here with the 34. Steve Huff as they come down the backstretch here. A little contact between Brett Hearn and Donnie Corellis as they dice for position. Corellis up on the outside. There's the Garrity Asphalt reclaiming 34 of Andy Bicchetti. And Bicchetti, he's got it on cruise. Up on the front here, the wild child leads him down off of turn number 4. He's the first under the checkers in the modified. Andy Bicchetti gets the win. Robbie Pitcher would finish in second spot. Kyle Sheldon would finish third. Colby Schroeder was fourth. And Brett Hearn from the tail of the field back to a top 5 finishing position. That is your modified racing results from Lebanon Valley. Now we go to the small block modifieds, a new division in 2013. A culmination of the former 358 mods and our open Sportsman division. As we go green here, up on the front, it is the 66 car of Sean Mandel. There's our former Pro Stock champion, the 25 of Chad Jezio, making the move up to the open wheel cars. There's Mandel up on the front. You may see on the hood scoop, there's a blue oval on that 66 machine. One of the Ford-powered cars, and Sean Mandel right now is using every ounce of horsepower under the hood in that Ford power plant. Here's the number 20 of Matt Quinn working down to the inside of Chad Jezio as they work their way off the corner. The 34, that is the Grand Premier Tire and Battery number 34 car of Steve Huff. He works the outside of Jason Harrington in the Reifenberg construction car. Here's another 34 car. That's Andy Bicchetti up there towards the front. Bicchetti trying to run down your leaders, the 20 of Matt Quinn, the 21 of Ryan Darcy, and here we got a car slowing, a tire down on the 34 of Steve Huff, the Grand Premier Tire and Battery 34 of Huff. So still up on the front, it is Mandel in the 66 car. He leads the way down here into turn number 1. Mandel leading the way. Steve Mayer now working his way up to the runner-up spot. You're looking at a battle back in the pack. A couple of number 1 cars. The number 1 of Tyler Dipple. Dipple did double duty this past Saturday in both Sportsman and small block modified action. Here's some contact. Wayne Jelly ends up shuffled up to the outside after he and Brett Haas come together. But we continue under green. As they race around here, there's Tyler Dipple, the 250 of Alan Hotailing, who would go on to win the Sportsman event. Green flag is out once again as they make their way down the front stretch here. Taking a look up towards the front of the pack, the 66 of Mandel, up on the outside of the racing surface, will give way to Steve Mayer now. Mayer takes over the number 1 position. There's Dipple and the 25 of Jezio, battling for position as they work their way up through the pack. Here's side-by-side racing as they come down off of turn number 4. Jezio working up on the outside of Dipple. Two guys that are up and coming here. Dipple, a newcomer to the Valley. Jezio, a newcomer to the open wheel divisions. Down here into turn number 1, that good run that Mandel had, all gone now. Front end down on the 66 car after contact with the outside retaining wall. We go back to green flag action as they work their way down into turn number 1. Steve Mayer and Matt Quinn up on the front now. The number 12 of Brian Sandstedt, Brian the Bullet now, working his way up towards the front as we are underway off of turn number 4. Here's Dipple working down to the inside of the 25 of Jezio once again to make his way into the top 5. But when this one was all said and done, checkers fly, it is Steve Mayer picking up the win. Steve Mayer gets the victory. Brian Sandstedt finishes second. Jason Harrington was third. Wayne Jelly fourth. And Steve Huff would round out your top 5 in the small block modifieds. The Master Blaster, Steve Mayer in victory lane. And once again, we'd like to thank Gene Cole and the Utica Rome Speedway for their support in 2013. The weatherman did not cooperate with Sunday's program from Utica Rome, but keep tuned in next week as we will go back out to the Utica Rome Speedway and get you all the latest racing action. Of course, our friends from Utica Rome, a great addition to our family of sponsors here in 2013. One more track to visit for this week's edition of Inside Northeast Racing. We head up to the Great Race Place, Albany Saratoga Speedway. Here's the modified main event underway. Green flag is out. Justin Bowler leads the field down here into turn number 1. Bowler, your early leader, as he works here off of turn number 4. Rich Ronca and Ray Horde duel and dice for second spot. Ray Horde working on the inside of Rich Ronca. He takes over second position here as the field now working up through. And some great side-by-side racing, as always, up at the Albany Saratoga Speedway. Here you're looking at Jeff Trombley working up on the outside, trying to better his position up through. Ray Horde would take the trip to the number 1 position. Here's a run by Matt Depew as Depew works up to the high side, holding off the advances of Brett Hearn. Hearn started in an uncharacteristic top 10 starting position after a dismal show a week ago, but Brett Hearn trying to make a quick trip to the front. Matt would have something to say about that as they come down here off the corner. It is Hearn going into the runner-up position as they work their way down into turn number 3 here. Now Hearn has caught the 94 of Ray Horde. Horde would hold Hearn's advances off for a number of laps, but before it was all said and done, Hearn would go to the number 1 position. Ray Horde relegated back to second spot here as he tries to hold on, and up over the berm he goes, down between turn 3 and 4, hop the cushion, open the inside lane. Here as Matt Depew tries to get back to him, Jeff Trombley also making his way up into the top 5. From there, Brett Hearn put it on cruise. He was on easy street. He'd be the first to the checkers. Hearn gets the victory, the second of the season, and his 105th career at Albany Saratoga. Matt Depew came home with a strong second. Jeff Trombley would finish third. Mark Johnson was fourth, and Ray Horde rounded out the top 5. Staying up at the Albany Saratoga Speedway, now we go to Pro Stock racing action. Pro Stocks, the full fender division here at Albany Saratoga as they come off of turn number 2 here in the early going. Some great 3-way racing back here for position. Kim Duell on the inside of a 3-way battle. the 25 of Jeff Washburn, and the 11 of Fast Eddie Thompson, all part of that fray. Here's the 10 of Cale Neer. Crazy Kenny Martin also working his way up through. Here is Kenny Martin going to work on Dan Older. Older, who was your leader, hanging on to that number one position here, but Crazy Kenny Martin got his first career win here just a few weeks back, and Kenny Martin now, he has opened the door. Not only opened it, he has busted it down. As right here, he's going to work towards the number one position on Dan Older Sr. Older working up on the outside, Martin on the inside. They raced door to door and side by side for a number of laps. Some great side-by-side racing this past Friday night up at the Great Race Place, but here it was Kenny Martin finally taking that number one position away, despite the challenge that Dan Older would throw back at him. It was going to be Kenny Martin not to be denied, as Martin would be the first under the checkers, his second win of the season and his career at Albany, Saratoga. Dan Older would finish second, Rob Yetman would finish third, Kim Duell fourth, and Cale Neer rounded out your top five. And yes, he was still just as excited as the first one. That's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside Northeast Racing. We'd like to thank our sponsors, the New York State Stock Car Association, Utica Rome Speedway, RCT Roofing, Jack's Used Race Car Parts and More, Rayo's Towing and Recovery, Bobco Video, and Northeast Racing Videos. You've been watching Inside Northeast Racing. Inside Northeast Racing is a Northeast Racing Videos production. Your 24/7 racing connection on the World Wide Web. Until next week, this is Dan Martin saying see ya.